Today we're going to be installing some really cool lights on Jennifer C7 from Vette-lights.com.
Hi, I'm Jennifer and you're watching the Corvette channel.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Scott and today Vette-lights.com has sponsored our channel today and has sent us some taillights, a rear emblem light, as well as side marker lights, as well as the rear bumper replacements for the reflectors. So as you can see right here that we've got our Paragon taillights. These are really cool. Take a look at these things. You can see they have that kind of the C8 kind of sequential look to them. They have 6 different versions of this light. They've got where we've got I call these swishes. These are red. They have them in white, and they also have them in a light smoke, a medium smoke, and a dark smoke, which is what these are here. So they've got, like I said, 6 different versions, and I'm going to put that information up on the screen so you can see it. We also are installing the Oracle emblem, illuminated emblem light. Now this one happens to be the always red. They have these in multiple different colors that you can choose from, and so you can we'll put that information up on the screen also on what you can get. Jennifer decided to go red, but you can do blue, and there's other colors. There's also a multi-light model that requires a LED controller, and you can do that also. All right. Now they also have the lights here that replaces the reflector that goes into the bumper. So that's now all tied into the lighting system also. As well as, you can't see it in this picture, but you can see it in the side markers when we go to change those. I mentioned it in the video when we're doing it, but I almost forgot to tell you. We did a video a long time ago about putting lights in mine and Jennifer's car, and we ended up, Jennifer almost never drives her car at nighttime, but I do. And so first thing out of the chute, I was getting it was the service tire pressure monitor system. And when the lights come on, the lights, I had bought some cheap ones off of eBay. You know, they're half price. I can buy 2 sets for the cost of 1 set of Oracles. And that was great. They look great in the daytime, but when do you have your lights on in the daytime, right? So when you were driving, they would trigger that light. And what we figured out, it was the check engine light. We figured out what was happening. And the cheap eBay knockoffs, the LEDs create a frequency that is almost matching the same thing that's being emitted by the tire pressure sensors. And so what it was doing is it was drowning out the sensors, and it was causing a misread, and it couldn't read them, so it would fail the system. So we figured that out. I have a good friend of mine that used to be in the Air Force. He used to work on all the planes, and he knew a lot about lighting, and he was able to help me figure it out. And so once we went back to an Oracle light, fixed the problem. So guys, just what I'm trying to say here is don't skimp. I did it. I made a mistake. I beat myself up for weeks on end trying to figure out what caused this problem. So if you're thinking about doing the Oracle lights, you know, or the laser kind of style, you know, lights, just get the Oracles and be done with it. Don't kill yourself, okay? Because it's just, you're never going to use them in the daytime. You're only going to use them at night, and that's when they fail. So anyway, that's about it, guys. I'm going to jump into the video now. I'm going to show you how to take this bumper off, how to do all the things that you're going to want to do. Just briefly, in order to change the taillights, you've got to take the bumper off. In order to do this emblem, you've got to take the bumper off. To put these on, or the side markers, you don't have to. You can feed those wires right through and get them and connect them to the side marker wires, and I'm going to show you how that part's done, as well as how to change the take the rings off of here, the cosmetic rings, be able to change everything and get the bumper off and get it back on. So anyway, guys, sit back, relax, and I'm going to show you how it's done. So let's briefly go over about what we're about to do here. So we're going to be changing the tail lights out, as well as the center emblem, and we're also going to be replacing the reflectors that are here with light up LEDs. So in what we're doing here is you can see that the emblem is missing. Now, just before all these parts got delivered and we were going to be doing this video, Jennifer got rear-ended and this whole bumper ended up having to be replaced. So luckily for us, we didn't have any frame damage. The inner bumper did exactly what it was supposed to be doing, and it protected everything. It's just that cosmetically it messed it up. So when I had the body shop putting it all back together, I told them not to put the emblem on the bumper. That way I wouldn't take the chance of actually messing up the paint underneath. Now, what you normally would do if you still have your emblem on there, you can do two things. One is you can take some fishing string, some fishing line, or some kite string, and just go ahead and spray a little bit of WD-40 right here on the cross of the top here. And then what you can do is you can actually get in here and you can literally saw the glue off. Don't use a screwdriver or pry bar or anything like that, or pry tools, because you will gouge the paint. But by doing the fishing string and or kite string lubed with WD-40, it'll actually act just like a lubricant, and it'll just saw right through it, and then all you have to do is just clean it up and get it back to this. So that's the only part I can't show you today because I didn't want to take the chance of screwing up the bumper with the new paint. But what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to take the bumper off, and I'm going to show you where all the screws. We've got a trim piece that we've got to take off here, right along this way in front of the spoiler on the inside of the hatch, and that will reveal some more 15 Torx. Now, there's also two 10mm bolts that are down just above the two center tailpipes, and then there is I think there's 3 on this one and 4 on a ground sport if you're doing this, on each side of each corner, as well as 2 8mm screws that are, these are all 8mm. So you can have, on this car, it'll be 3, 3, 2, and 2. And then you'll be able to take the mud guards off, and then there'll be 2 15 Torx inside each wheel well that screws into, holds the inner liner to the back bumper. Now, once you get that done, we're going to be putting some tape, some masking tape right along here, and we'll be using a nylon pry tool to go ahead and pry our trim rings off on both sides. Once that's done, it will reveal right up in this very top corner, kind of going up at an angle, it's going to reveal 2 15 Torx, or 1 Torx on each side, but it's a 15 Torx up in this top corner as well as up in that corner there. Once you have that, you'll be able to reach right up in here and grab this bumper. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you what screws we're going to take out, and then I'll lift the car up and I'll show you the screws from underneath. Now, you do not have to you don't have to put this car on a lift to be able to do this. I'm simply putting it on the lift so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and jump into it now. We're going to show you where all the screws are, if I can talk today. I'm going to show you all the screws, and that way we'll show you also how to get the bumper off. And usually what I do is I will put a box, some sort of box, and a blanket down on the ground, so when we pull the bumper off, it's sitting on something soft and we don't actually scratch it. Okay, so anyway, sit back, relax, and we'll show you how it's done. We are here, we've got the trunk open, and what we have to do is we've got to go ahead and pull this protective cover over here, this cosmetic cover off. Now, I've already got it loose here because I'm working one-handed with the camera, but sometimes these will not come out real easy. And you can see here, I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit. You can see that this has got a kind of a clip here. You can see right there. And if these don't want to come out, you can use a nylon pry tool and you can press the tab down and you can get it out. So we're just going to go ahead and pull this thing out of the way here. So like I said, if you've never had your car apart, this is not going to come out that easy, I promise you. Now let me go ahead and put this inside the trunk. Now what it does is it reveals your 15 torque screws. Okay, there's one right there, and they just kind of go all the way across the top of the bumper. Okay, just like that. All right, so we're going to go and we're going to take those out, and then we'll go ahead and we'll jack the car up and we'll show you what's underneath. So now that we're underneath the car here, like I said, you wouldn't have to do this in your garage. You'll be able to do this just on the floor, but I just want to be able to show you this. That there's actually 3 screws here on a Stingray. There's actually 4 on a Grand Sport or a Z06, as well as 2 here. Okay, and then you also have your 2 10mm right here. So we're going to go ahead and take those off now. Alright, so now that we've got our 8mm screws out here across, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take our 10mm bolts out of the exhaust area right here, which is one is right here. Pull those out, and one right here. We've got the car back on the ground, and what we're going to do is we're going to put some tape right across here to protect the paint when we go to use the nylon pry tool to be able to take the trim off. So you should go ahead and just put it like this. This will protect the paint. You still don't want to pry really hard, but this will help keep from marring your paint. Okay, so we're going to do that on both sides, as well as what we're going to do here is we're going to be able to pry this this trim or these reflectors out of the bumper. Now we're going to go. There's 2 different ways of doing this, guys. So if you're doing what I'm going to do, if you're replacing the lights, you're putting an Oracle emblem, light up emblem on, and you're going to do that in conjunction with doing the light up reflector lights, then you don't have to pry these out. These are actually in there with little snaps, and a lot of times when you do pry them out with a pry tool that looks a lot like this one here, you're going to get it into this edge here and you're going to pry, and what's going to happen is most likely the one of the clips is going to break, right? So these pretty much become, if you ever had to reuse them again, you're going to be having to use 2-side stick tape. But in the event that we're pulling the bumper completely off, I don't have to pry these, okay? I can go ahead, once I've got the bumper off, I can reach down there and undo the clips and they'll just come right out. So that's what I'm going to do here. But I've got to be able to get this trim ring off to be able to get the bumper completely off, to be able to get to that screw, okay? So we're getting pretty close to getting this ready, and then we also have to get the side screws out and the mud guards. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do this part of it now. So we're just going to go ahead, we've got the tape down, and we're just going to start. Typically if you start over on this edge, this is the loosest point. So if you've never had these out before, then you want to be careful because they can be really tough and they don't want to come out. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to put this in here. Okay, so I'm going to get that down in there, and I'm going to pry just a little bit. And you can see how that came out. Okay, this is a fresh rings on a fresh bumper, so you can see how that came out pretty easy. But I've actually seen these where they are really tight. Not all the time, but every once in a while. So you're just literally just prying it out enough that you can get a little bit of leverage here, and then you're just going to kind of help it out, just like this. Okay. And once you get this to this point, then you typically don't have to use that anymore. So you can see how this is coming out. So we're gonna go ahead, this one's got, that clip was being a little kind of a bear. We'll be able to get these out now. Now, if this one decides it's gonna hang, don't just do it on the paint. Like I said, put a little more tape down here in this corner. You wanna, like I said, you just want to protect the paint, okay? I don't normally get that one to hang, but you can see right there, it was just getting a little stuck, so. Just a little bit of finesse and you won't have any problems, okay? So we're just gonna set this one off to the side. And now you're done with this tape, so you can go ahead and pull this off, okay? Now be careful, you don't want to just yank it off, just take it off nice and smooth, and you won't have any issues there. Okay, so we're going to do the other side. Just get over here. And I typically use, I mean you can use any of them, but I typically use the green or the yellow tape. But you can use the blue too. We're just going to go ahead and put that right there just for safekeeping. Okay. Then at that point, we're going to start right here. They just come out, just like that. Just like so. And then again, you're just using a little bit of finesse, just to pry it out. Okay, just like that. Take that out of the way. Okay, then we can get rid of the tape again. We're just pulling that off, and we're good. Okay. So now what that does is that reveals the two screws that we need. Okay. One is right up in this corner, kind of at a 45-degree angle, and the other one is in the same spot over there. So let me see if I can grab the camera here, and I'm going to try to see if I can get that to light up enough that you guys can see in there. Alright, so if you're looking up into the hole there, right next to the lens, you'll see that there's a black 15 Torx screw. Okay, and that's the one that we have to get taken out. Once we pull that out on both sides, let me see if I can highlight it a little bit better with the camera. You can see that now, I think. And we got to get that one screw out on both sides. Once we do that, then we can go to the side of the car and we can get those other screws out as well as the mud guards. So you saw that we had the screws out at the bottom of the mud guards. So we're going to pull these off. These will just come off with clips. So these will just pry out, just like that. Okay, and this comes out. And you can just set that up on top of the tire, not a big deal, okay? It will reveal a couple screws right here, 15 Torx right here and here on both sides. So we're gonna pull those out, and then what that did is that frees the bumper from the car, okay? So we're gonna go over to the other side, we're gonna do the same thing. Okay, just like this. Like that. You can see they come off pretty easy. And then we've got our two screws here still. Okay, so we're going to take those out and then we'll be ready to take the bumper loose. We are on the side here and I've got a little tool that I use all the time and I'm going to show you. You don't have to have this, but this has got a hex, it's like a 90-degree hex adapter. Different brands make different, you know, they have different ones. I have this one by DeWalt. These are about $15–20 at Home Depot or Lowe's. But basically what it does, it fits into your drill and it turns it into a 90-degree, and then that way you can get into tight spaces. So if you're doing this just as a one-off, I don't recommend you going and doing this unless you just want it. But if you're doing this type of work on a regular basis, then you might want to consider getting one of these. So you hook it into a drill or screwdriver that has the hex head on it, and now you can get into a really tight spot. So that's what I'm going to do here. Okay, so I'm just got a 15 Torx in here like that. Pull this little guy out. I'm going to set it here up on top of the tire. That way it's not going anywhere. I don't lose it. Same thing with this one here. Okay, I'm going to do that, And we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. So before I start to install everything in the car, I just want to thank Vette-lights for sponsoring this episode of the Corvette channel. What we've got now, like I told you, we've got our tooling mark here in the bumper. I've got a 3/16 drill bit right here. I'm going to go ahead and use that as my pilot hole. Then I'm going to go up to a 5/16 drill bit right here, and we're just going to drill those holes, and then we can pull the bumper off. Okay? So we're just going to drill that. Okay, just like that. Change our drill bit. As long as you have pulled all of those top screws, and you've pulled the side screws, and you've pulled the bottom screws loose, this is going to come right off. Okay? There's 3 clips that are located right near the top, middle, and bottom on each side. They are just snap clips. Okay? So I'm just going to grab this little guy, just like so. I'm just going to grab in here, okay, and I'm just going to pull, just like that, okay? And we're just going to set it up there. And we're going to do the same exact thing over on this side. Okay, we're just going to pull right here, just like that, okay? Now, the bumper actually is sitting on the exact exhaust pipes right now. So what you can do is you literally can pull it back just a little bit, and you'll be able to get them off the exhaust. Just like that, and set it down on the blanket. Just like this. Now, if you have somebody to help you, it always makes it nicer because the bumper is going to want to kind of run away. And you've got plugs in here that are, you know, basically it's holding the bumper, right? I've got my it's trying to, the carpet here, or the blanket is trying to move on me a little bit, but let's see if I can try to get this so it will sit a bit better. Okay, just like this. Now I'm going to grab, then the wires will hold it. So it should just sit like this. Okay, so I'm going to grab the camera and I'm going to show you what I've got underneath here. Alright guys, so what we've got first thing is we've got our little our reflector clips. So you can see we got one here, here, and here. Now if you weren't taking the bumper off, you would just be prying these out, but you can see how easy these are to pinch and how easy they come out. Look at that. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and we're going to move over to the other side. Now you can see that the wires here, this cable right here, you don't want to just drop this bumper, but this will support the weight of the bumper, and so this way you don't have to worry about it. This is for the emergency trunk release. Okay, so we're just going to reach in here and we're going to pop these little clips out of the way to get rid of, like that. That'll get rid of those the reflectors. Okay, so that's done. Alright, so the next thing that we have is the taillights. Now there's a single plug right here. Okay, you just push here, push on this little guy, and just push and release it. We're going to do the same thing over on this side. If I can get my camera strap out of the way. So you're just going to press and release. Just like that. Okay? Now those lights are ready to be disconnected. Now you've got a screw here, you've got one right here, you have one right there, and you have one right there. Here's the hole you can see right here that we drilled from the outside, so that's where the wire is going to come out, and we're going to end up going and connecting over to this plug. We'll pull back some of this plastic of the wire loom, and we'll tie into these lights to be able to get the illumination and the third brake light lit up on that emblem. All right, so and then also the side markers, they can be tied into either side of the side markers themselves. If you are not pulling off the bumper, what I'd recommend you doing is just reaching up in, running the wire, fishing the wire over from here and over to this connector here and tying in. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take these taillights out. We're just gonna start on one of the screws. Hopefully the camera is picking this up really good for you. I've got a pretty bright light in here, and this way hopefully you guys can see. Just like that. Just gonna set those up here like that, and we'll be able to pull this one out. Okay, just like that. Okay, I'm gonna set that one inside. Now what we can do is we can go ahead and we can put our light in. So these come with a protective covering on them. So you'll just take that off and then you can put this in place. Be sure and start your screws. So you can see it's not really hard. It's just time consuming, and it takes a little bit of taking stuff apart, being careful. Okay, so now you're going to want to take this little strap. Either you're going to just go ahead and cut this. So you're going to take this wire here, which goes over to your reverse lights. You're just going to clip that wire tie. And then we're going to move that over to here. Okay, just has to go where you can get to it. Okay, and then you're just going to go ahead and plug this together. Now, what I'm going to do before I do that is I'm going to put a little bit of dielectric grease on this, and this will help keep the water out of the plug and make sure that we always have a good connection. So you can see here, this is the dielectric grease that I'm talking about, okay? And you can pick this up pretty much at anywhere at AutoZone or O'Reilly's, anything like that. Okay, it's just a clear grease that helps promote electrical connections. And I'm just going to put some right here, like this, on this plug. And the pins will end up driving the grease down into the plug. Okay. So then you're going to do that. Just going to push this in here like so. Make sure we get it, I guess it's the right way here. Do we get it in the right way? There we go. And there we are. So we want to make sure again that this stays right here. Just like that. You can do a lot of different things. You could take a wire tie and you can make sure that it stays there. We might do that here in just a second. Next, what we've got is we've got our reflector replacement, okay? Now, they are marked left and right. You can see right here, this one's actually got an L there. And they are also marked on the end, on the outside, and this one is marked L on this side, and the other one will be, of course, right. So we can go ahead and we can put these little guys in now also. Push those through. So we've got all of our wires pretty much. Let's get those pushed through here. We can put these wires right through the hole here, the bumper. So we can go ahead and we can pull this wire right on through and get them up in here too. Just like that. Okay. So now we've got our, you hear them click, just like that. So now we're good. So once you've got the wire through, you can make the choice to either go over to your side marker light wire, or you can go over to your license plate light. We're going to go right into this hole, feed that wire through. I'm going to pull it through, like that. And these are marked. You'll see that this one has a right, hopefully right here, there's a right, and you can, on the other side you'll see a left. The emblems that say right or left, they go to the inside part of the bumper. And that's what will make them line up and go right in. So just so you know. Okay. Just like that. They go in pretty darn easy. There you go. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to change the other taillight. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're just going to take our wires, and what I've got here is this is the dual illumination style, and it comes with the diode. You can see right here it creates a yellow and a red wire that's fed into a diode system, and then it's tied into the positive and negative of the light. So if you elected to get the one with the dual illumination, that's what you're getting. Okay. So if not, you'll just have the two wires, and they'll just go into your ground and your running light. Okay, this one is the dual illumination model. So what you're doing is you're just going to go ahead and we're going to push these wires through. Okay, so we're just pushing them through the bumper, and we'll hook that up in a minute. We're just going to go ahead and put this through the bumper so we can go ahead and start to get everything wired up. Okay, so we can let this. Just kind of push this up here like that. What I've done is I've just taken the little pigtail that it comes with, and I've just hooked it to the red wire, red to red, and I've twisted it like this. Then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to kind of clip that just a hair, and then I'm going to put a blue bud connector on this. Now you can use a red one or a blue one, it doesn't really matter, but all I'm doing is just making sure, I've got it twisted, but I'm also making sure that it's nice and tight in there, so it's not going to come apart. Okay, so then at that point we're going to go ahead and we're going to strip back our wiring, the wiring loom on our harness. And hopefully you guys can see this. Be careful not to cut your fingers. And we're just going to peel our wires back out of the loom. Okay, and then there's some more tape in here. We're just going to peel that off. Okay, just like that. So now what you've got is we need to tap into this white wire with the yellow tracer, this gray wire, and the black wire. Okay, so those three are the ones that we're going to tap into. And the kit comes with the vampire clamps to be able to go ahead and tap into those. We've got our connectors here, our vampire clamps. We're going to go ahead and we're going to tie into our black wire. And I think that you guys can see that in there. We're going to go ahead and tap into it. So you just close that up like that, and then you take your pliers and you basically close that down. Okay, so just like that. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, that's one. Then we're going to do it with our white wire with the yellow tracer. Same thing. And then we're going to clamp it just like that. And we're going to do it with our gray wire. Okay. See if we can come across here like this. A little bit better angle. Okay, just like that. And then clamp it like that. Okay, so now we've got our taps into our lighting system. Okay, so now what we can do is we can come back to our wire. Okay, and we can put a tap on our black wire. And they're thin wires, so you can choose to double them up. You don't have to. I typically do. Just try to make it so the fitting that it goes into, the end that it's going into, will have something else better to clamp onto. But you don't have to do that. Okay, just like that. Okay. And then the other two, we can do the same thing. So now what we've got to do is we've got to make our connection. So we're going to use our orange wire is going to go to our gray wire on the car. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to grab that. You want to make sure that the blade goes into the fitting and not slides onto the side of the fitting, otherwise it doesn't get a connection. We're also going to go the red wire from the emblem to the white with yellow tracer. Okay, that. And you can see that, if you move it around, you can see that the blade is actually going inside. It's really hard for me to show you that on camera. And then the black wire is going to black. Okay. So once you have that all done, then we can go ahead and we can put our dielectric grease onto our plug. Like that. Make sure we get some on all the pins. And then we can go ahead and we can put it together. And you'll hear it snap. Okay? So now the next thing you want to do, you don't have to, but I typically, what I do is I'll clip this stuff back just a hair so I can put some tape on these fittings. Okay? So I get this all out of the way, get that out of there like so, and then at this point I can tape this where there's no water getting onto those connectors right there. Okay? But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to test this before I actually tape this all up. So you can take your key fob and you can just hit the unlock button and you can test your wires. You can see that the taillights are coming on. You can also see that the red emblem is coming on. Okay, so we know that that's working. So now the next thing we've got to do is we're going to have to get the reflectors hooked up. So we're going to do that next. I want you to be able to know what it's like to be able to hook these up without having to pull this bumper. So I decided to go ahead and tie them in how I normally do, and I literally put the markers in and then I just feed them over, right? I just fish the wire over here and then pull this side marker out of the bumper, right? And literally you can just pull those out just like this, right? You just reach up inside here. It's pretty easy to do, and you're pinching these and they will come out of the bumper. Okay, just like this. Okay, let me do that real quick so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so then at that point you've got a wire here. I think the camera's picking that up. You can and pull this little gray tab, pinch this, and this will come off. Okay, then at that point you've got enough room here. You can peel this back. You can cut the wire loom here, and you can get to this wire. And I'm going to do that here, and we can go ahead and we can tap into these wires here. Okay, and this is probably what you're going to end up doing, because if you're just adding those reflectors on, this is where you're going to end up doing it. You're not going to pull the bumper off just for this. Okay, so now you've got two wires. You've got a purple wire and you've got a black wire, and on these little guys here you've just got a green wire and a black wire. So you're going black to black and color to color, because I think on the other side it's not purple. I want to say it's gray. So all you're doing is you're just gonna, and it comes with wire ties. So what you're wanting to do is to make sure that this vent, hopefully you can see right here, this vent isn't that this wire isn't being seen. So when I'm doing this without having the bumper off, I will actually feed wire loom all the way through, and so then it's black and you don't ever see it, right? And you also want to make sure that if you have a Z51 or a Grand Sport or Z06, that you do not end up running the wire here through the vent or through this fan. So you just make sure you're careful, okay? So paying a little bit of attention, you'll have no problems. But so I'm going to pull this apart here just so you can see this, but normally you would be doing it on the outside of the bumper, okay? I'm going to pull it through like this so you can see. I'm just going to get it up here like this. But basically you're just going to take, and I always end up with a little bit extra wire. So I'm just going to take my wire tie, I'm going to tie this up like so, and then, or you're going to use wire loom. Not a big deal, either way, okay? And then at that point, you would just bring this wire out like this, cut it to length, and hook it on with the vampire clamps, okay? But I'm just going to do it like right here, and then we'll do that. And it is supplied, they come with 2 of them, right? Let's see, they're right here. And we just clamp these little guys onto the existing wires. And hopefully, I think I've got the camera focused on that, so we can just go right there like that. And this is our purple wire, so we're going to use our green wire in here. Okay, and then like I said, you want to make sure that you have enough room, so you just make sure that it's plenty, just like that. Okay, and then you're going to just clamp it down. Now I know I sound like I am making this really, really hard. The only reason I'm going in such detail is because I don't want you to short something out or have a problem. Okay, this will go actually very easy for you guys. This is not a hard job. So you're just going to close it like that, and then what I do is I take my clippers and I just clip the color off. The excess wire, I just cut it off. Okay, just like that. Okay, we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to use the vampire clamp on the other side on our black wire. If I can get it to play nice with my fingers. We'll do that. Just like that. And then we'll take our black wire, pull it through like so. And you just want to make sure there's 2 holes there, 2 channels. You just want to make sure that those are both right where they need to be. And then you're just going to clamp it down. Just like that. Okay. And there you have it. So that's really all there is to it. We're going to cut this excess black wire off like that, and then we can feed this back through. That'll go through just like that. Like that. We can plug our light back in just like that, and then it'll go back into the bumper. Okay. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to test it now just to make sure that this other one works. And so we'll test that. We'll make sure that that one's on, and then we can look underneath at the bumper and we can see that this one's working. And we'll go ahead and I'm going to grab that one too, and we'll show you the camera. I'll show you with the camera, you can see that's lit up. Okay. So now we'll move over to the other side. That. Now you want to pull this protective covering off before you put it in the hole, because it goes all the way around it and then you'll end up with this plastic that's stuck on the side. So just make sure you pull that out beforehand and then push this through. Just like that. Then what you want to do, go ahead and use your key fob again to make sure that it comes on, and then you want to check your bumper to make sure that it's going through on your bumper also, which this one is. You can see the reflection off my hand. So that's it, guys. So now all I'm gonna do now is I'm just going to go ahead and come through and wire tie everything nice and neat, and then I'm gonna put the bumper back on. So we're just gonna go ahead and hit the key fob and turn the lights on just to make sure everything's working. All right, everything's working. All right, so we're ready to put the bumper back on. So we're ready to put the bumper on, and I just wanted to point this out so when you go to put the bumper back on that the clips are in the right position. You notice that they are heading straight out, just like this. Sometimes when you pull the bumper off, these will actually turn and go down or go up. Typically they go down so they won't be lined up, and if they're not lined up, that bumper is not going to go on. So you want to make sure that they're all on there like that. We're going to go over to the other side, double check it. Those are all on. So now all we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and reverse the order of what we did. Alright, so what you're going to do is you're literally going to lift up on the bumper. You're going to set it up here, and you're going to set it basically where it goes back over the exhaust. So it's now sitting on the exhaust. Okay, just like that. Then at that point, there is some tabs that are inside that we're going to lift that up and over the inner piece of the bumper. Okay, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here in just a second. We're just literally going to lift it up and over that all the way around both sides. Okay, then at that point, let me see if I can get the camera to come over here. I'm going to grab it real quick, and we'll get it over here. I think this will get it so you can see what I'm talking about. So you can see right here, we're going to line those up, and we're just going to make sure that that goes on there like so. Okay. Now that went on pretty easy, guys. That doesn't always happen, trust me. Well, let's go ahead and put this over here on this other side. And hopefully this goes on nice and easy like that for me too. Alright, so we're going to do that. Look at that. Well, that just went right in. Now I'm also going to grab the camera here. Let me pull it off the tripod. And you can see right here that these are the lips I was talking about. These lips have to go on top of this piece here. If you don't, they will push out and you'll end up breaking these off. So they literally just sit on this ledge. Okay. So at that point, you can see we've got our seams. They're really good. Okay, and we're going to go back over and we're going to look at this side too. You can see this one's moved a little bit because I was moving the other side. I'm just going to push that up like that, and hopefully you heard that click. Okay, so that is on there. It's ready to go. So now all we have to do is just reverse the order of the screws. So we're going to start putting our screws in along this, put our trim back together. We'll put our screw up inside this hole. We'll put our screw up inside this hole here. We'll do our side screws on the rock guards, and the two 10mm screws down here, as well as the 5 on each side of the 8mm that are down there. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the trim on the lights and put the sticky on here. So I'm just going to be able to pull and stick that. I'll wipe this down with alcohol first. So we are just about ready. So since you've already seen me take this apart, I'm not going to go ahead and bore you with that. We'll just go ahead and I'll put it on the tripod and I'll speed through that. Alright guys, that's all there is to that. The only thing we have left, we're going to drop the car back down a little bit. We're going to put our trim rings on, and we'll go ahead and take our tape, we'll mount this, and we're good. Okay. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to use an alcohol prep swab here, and I'm just going to wipe in here. Let that sit here for a minute and dry. Okay. So I'm just going to do that. Wipe it down. We'll let it dry there. In the meantime, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put our trim rings on. So I'm going to go ahead and get my seat over here, and we're going to plug these in. So this is just a real quick little plug-in. So like that, you'll hear it snap, and then just go ahead and push it in. Okay, and then it goes in exactly the same way as the other one, the original. They go into the same little ears. They just lock in. So just make sure that you get them in all of the slots, and you'll hear it. You'll hear it snap in place. And they are a little finicky on certain corners, but you'll get it. Okay, so there you go, just like that. And do the other side. Same thing, it's just a little connector right here. Very simple. Plug it in here. Just like that. Feed that back up inside the hole. And then, like I said, you're just making sure that you get all the little guys into the holes. All the little clips in there. Okay. There we go. You can hear them snap it in. And you're good. Okay, so those are all good to go. So now I should be able to hit the lights now, and those should come on. You can see that how they light up. So now all we have left to do, guys, is the emblem. And all we're doing is we're just pulling the two-sided stick tape off. We've used our alcohol swab. I'm working with fresh paint. You just want to make sure that if you were pulling, if you did have an old emblem and you were pulling it off on your bumper, which you probably do, just make sure that this is prepped and clean, and then it'll stick. Okay? So you go ahead and you can see here, my head might be in the way for a second while I get this lined up, but there is an impregnation into the bumper. So you'll be able to see it, you'll be able to get it right where it belongs, and then what you're doing is you're just pressing and holding it. Hold it for about 30 seconds to allow it to get a good adhesion. And if you're in the wrong temperature, then what you want to do, like it's probably about 75 degrees where I'm at right now, 75, almost 80 degrees. So the bumper is pretty warm. If you're in cold weather, then just kind of take a hair dryer. Don't get it too close to the paint. You don't want to blister it, but just warm the emblem and the bumper up, and then that will help it adhere. But other than that, we're just holding it, and that is all there is to it, guys. So not hard, just takes a little bit of time to do it, and you will end up with an extremely awesome looking car. There you go. So take a look at that. I'm going to go ahead and trigger the lights again. Let's see, what did I do with them? Oh, it's right here. Go ahead and trigger those lights and see what you think. I think that looks pretty cool. So anyway, that's all there is to it. So guys, hopefully you found this video helpful and informative, and if you did, you'll know exactly where to get your lights. Reach out to Vette-lights.com. I'm going to put all of that information right here. as well as if you guys are in need of wanting to do this to your car and you want me to go ahead and do it, I can order these in for you, and we'll still get them from Vette-lights. They'll still get the credit, but we'll go ahead and we'll get it ordered in and you won't have to deal with it. So just reach out to me, let me know. Like I said, I'm going to put all that information right here on the screen. I want to thank Cole again over at Vette-lights for doing this for us today. He sponsored this whole thing for Jennifer in order for us to be able to show this to you. So guys, I just want to thank you guys all for watching. If you guys have not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. I ask this all the time, but it really does help, and it helps us with so many different things. It makes our sponsors want to do more with us, and it also gets us up in the rankings on YouTube as well as Google and the web itself. We have a website to check out. Go to www.corvettechannel.com, and we also have a car show coming up in August. So go to corvettechannel.com, go to the events tab, and check out our show. It's going to be at the Grand Sierra Hotel, and it's in August, and it's going to be an indoor car show, and it is shaping up to be a really good show, and they're giving us special rates, and I mean, you can't beat it. So anyway, enough of that. We'll talk to you guys later, but thanks again for watching.
Thanks.
Yeah.